Hello and welcome to our 6th episode of ATXM News. I'm Jessica Forsyth.
And I'm Ray Price.
We're both musicians working for musicians through Austin, Texas Musicians nonprofit, serving the Central Texas music community on city, state, and federal policy, and providing basic needs and services that improve our quality of life.
So much of our advocacy work involves education by keeping our music community up to date with the latest information that affects them. Sometimes there's just too much to share with the simple social post or newsletter, and that's why we got together to create this 30-minute news program tailored just to Central Texas musicians.
That's right, Ray. In our past episodes, we've provided you all with coverage on the Live Music Fund. And in this episode, we've gone in depth with 3 recipients of the Live Music Fund grants to see what impact the fund has already made just during its first round.
Without further ado, we sat down with Dave Madden to talk about how he used his award as we take a peek inside the 1159 songwriting group.
So I'm Dave Madden. I'm a local producer, songwriter, band leader, multi-instrumentalist, and the leader of the 1159 songwriting group, which is a group I founded in 2018 and was the project that I chose to apply on behalf of for the Live Music Fund this year. I think it was back in 2019 that I was one of the first people, along with some other of our peers, that showed up to council and lobbied with ATXM on behalf of the Austin music community for the thing that would eventually become the Live Music Fund. We didn't really know it at the time. That's the journey that it would be, but here we are. I applied for the Live Music Fund not for my own personal recording project, although I am a songwriter with a band. We play out, I'm a sideman, and I'm quite frankly involved in a lot of different projects. But when I heard about the Live Music Fund that ATXM had been so instrumental in helping create, I realized that this particular project, the 1159 songwriting group, was such a perfect fit. Nothing needed to be changed or adapted. It was meant to be. So the 1159 songwriting group, I founded in 2018. Kind of a necessity is the mother of invention kind of a situation where I realized that the slowest months of the year for a lot of performing musicians is January and February. And that I could create something to kind of fill in that vacuum where we could be productive, be creating beautiful art that would then later get to be kind of incubated and make it out into the community, out into the wild. I have this joke I'm also a member of kind of the yoga community, and I like to joke with my yoga friends that we get the public throughout the holidays, get them good and let's call it lubricated. And then everybody joins a gym and a yoga gym on January 1st, and it's like, all right, musicians, this is our chance. You know, we're not gigging anymore, or at least for a little while. Let's hunker down, create some new songs. So the structure of the group works like this. We write 4 songs over the course of 8 weeks. It starts on New Year's Day, and I, as the group's leader, come up with these prompts, songwriting prompts. A lot of people will be familiar with the way that songwriting groups work. And over the course of those 8 weeks, everybody is encouraged to write 4 songs, and they encourage each other too. I'd like to think that we all together have cultivated a really encouraging and dynamic community. So this has been the 7th year of the group. This year alone, we created 155 new songs with about 50 members, 50 plus members. It's the biggest the group has ever been. And over the life of the group since its inception in 2018, the group has created 875 new songs. One of the reasons that I thought that the group would be such a perfect fit for these grants as they came out, and I started looking at the criteria that would need to be satisfied. There's a point scoring system and judged, and there's a lot of language in there about DEI, about diversity, equity, inclusion. And the group kind of always has been a diverse group and an inclusive group. I checked in this year in particular, it's essentially exactly 50-50 women and men. It's about 25% people of color. There's members of the LGBT community that are represented, and the age range this year was all the way from literally teenagers to people kind of well into their 60s. So I'm proud of that as a group, that this is really a cross-section of the live music community here in Austin. The Live Music Fund really helped us achieve a number of goals, and these were things that we were already striving to do, but without that bridge funding to fill the gap, it was always really difficult to do. This year, we were able to hire for the wrap party. There's always a wrap party every year, so that was catered by Fibonacci Foods, shout out. To them. I'll have a bunch of shout outs actually, and they did such a fantastic job. This is a locally owned, women-owned business. The photographer is a locally owned business, also a woman-owned business. The graphic designer as well. Regal Rooms is a brand new facility here in town that I didn't even know about, but having this pot of funds to be able to carefully distribute throughout the locally employed community in Austin and everything was pretty incredible. I wouldn't have hired a professional photographer. I wouldn't have hired a professional caterer or maybe graphic designer. All these things like come together and little by little make the thing that 1159 has always been in its previous 6 years just even better and more professional. And it kind of populates our tranche of cool stuff, data, images, video, things that we can draw on for future opportunities. So I think that there's like a lasting rhythm of repercussions into the future because of this grant. Like it didn't just make this year's project better, I think it'll make future iterations of the group better too. We recorded people at Same Sky Productions, that's another local recording studio, and we had our end of year show at the 04 Center. It does fantastic work. Another thing that happened is that part of the funds I distributed for underwriting for Sun Radio. So in the weeks leading up to the showcase, there was a live showcase of this songwriting group at the 04 Center. I get to go in there, talk to Kevin Connor on Sun Radio, and then also just have a bunch of underwriting. They were incredibly generous, I have to say, Sun Radio, and didn't ask me to plug this or anything, but they actually treated us as something of a helping the community nonprofit, really dug what we're doing and what we're trying to say, and matched our underwriting package dollar for dollar. So that was incredible. Not just that, they want to be heavily involved with whatever we come up with next year. And all that is to say, like, that's just a foot in the door that never would have really been possible without the Bridge grant that something like the Live Music Fund creates. And then I also want to say this. One of the most exciting things about the show is because the grant application process was it was challenging people to like broaden your horizons, reach out to different communities, and one of those was the disability community. We ended up having a deaf and hard of hearing interpreter, a local company, also a women-owned company. These women are doing amazing things out there in the community, as it turns out, called Stardust ASL. And they came and interpreted for the deaf community. We had people in the audience there. They did like such a phenomenal job. That's just one more thing that I wouldn't have thought to do. And now I kind of can't think of not doing it. If I had a tip for people who are applying for this coming year, the 2024-25 into 2026 year for the grant process, I've been thinking a little bit about this, and what I would say is let's call it the selfishness altruism spectrum. If your project fell on a spectrum from the most selfish thing possible, I'm kind of joking here a little bit, but not really, being please give me a grant to record a record of my music. The music is primarily based on loops that I download from splice.com. The thematic content is my life, which I find to be endlessly fascinating. Please give me $30,000 to do that. Okay, if that's one end of the spectrum. If the other end of the spectrum is the most altruistic thing possible in terms of helping not just the community of Austin, but Texas, the United States, the world. Please give me a grant so that I can solve world hunger and the conflict in Gaza, perfect space flight, that kind of thing. I also think that's going to be a hard sell for some well-intentioned panel of judges who are trying to create, I would think, I'm not on this panel, but trying to create opportunities for people that are impactful to the community, but also achievable. So I think I'd sum it up like that. Come up with something that is impactful, a vision revolving around your music or the music that you're involved with, but that's a little larger than yourself only, but also achievable, right? That's smaller than world hunger. So be creative. Like, I don't know what that looks like for each individual person, but there's gotta be a way to, I think it comes down to making connections with some broader version of the community. Maybe it's kind of a write what you know thing. Like if you already have passions lying in animal shelters or farmers markets, or who knows, right? Find a way to tie in the thing that you already want to do, if that's record a record of your own music, with some other thing. It's just my instinct that somebody who is trying to make a razor thin determination between this person gets a grant and this person doesn't get a grant, it's like if that were you, wouldn't you lean towards something that had a little bit more of a community impact? So that would be my advice. It happened to be something that the 1159 songwriting group kind of already excelled at, partially because the group is so big. I mean, it's 50 people. So it's going to have threads that pull on various aspects of the community. Make it impactful but achievable.
Thank you for everything that you do for our community, Dave. You're a personal friend of mine. I know that you are an amazing songwriter, and you bless us with your songs as well as lifting others in the community up and letting them learn how to best hone in on their skills. 1159 is an amazing songwriting group that he does every year, and I know that he used the grant that he received from the city to be able to put it on a bigger stage this year, and it was just a wonderful performance. We so appreciate you, Dave. Dave is also on the Musicians Advisory Panel for Austin, Texas Musicians nonprofit. Thank you for being part of our community, Dave. We love you. And up next, we're going to talk with Laura Price to learn how her Live Music Fund grant enhances the important work being done by kids in a new groove.
Hi everybody, my name is Laura Price. I'm an artist in Texas. I'm a singer, songwriter, and a multi-instrumentalist. I'm about to release my 8th record, which is what I use the Live Music Fund for. I first heard about the Live Music Fund through the ATX Musicians group. Thankfully, I was at a Kids in a New Groove event, which is a mentorship through music program that helps foster kids weekly. And one of the mentors there told me about a grant writing group through the Museum of Human Achievement. So thankfully I went to that group, joined the group, and through weeks of brain frying, it took a lot of time, but through weeks of a lot of work, I was able to fill out the grant thanks to MOA. And what my original idea was to fund my record. Once I opened the application, I realized that I couldn't just ask for money to fund my record. So MOA did help me kind of understand how I could get that done through various ways. And what I did was I ended up throwing an event. So instead of just asking for money for my record, I actually applied as a promoter / artist. I threw an event that featured mentors. So it helps the Kids in a New Groove, a cause that I deeply care about. But I was also able to play at a club that I would not have been able to play before, possibly. I was also able to release some new music at this venue. I think what's important for artists to understand about the Live Music Fund is that go in there with an intention and be ready to be flexible. I think it's important if you can join a grant writing group through MOA or you have other avenues, that's really helpful because it'll help you interpret the language, which is, I think, everyone's biggest hurdle. A lot of musicians that I know wanted to like hire a lawyer to try to help them figure it out. So when you have grant writers walking around in a group, that's very helpful. It's really important to know, and I've had a lot of musicians ask me this, like, can I just use the grant to pay for my rent? Probably not. It needs to be something that involves the community. This is what this last one did, as well as artists, paying artists. One of my favorite things about the grant was that it actually asked you to pay musicians $200 an hour. $200 an hour. So it was awesome to be able to do that through the grant. So any tips for artists? I would say apply. Apply. Open up the grant, read it, get help. I think people need help. Most artists don't know the language of grant writing. So don't be afraid to apply. And it sounds like from the next round that's coming up, the $15,000 to $30,000 application, it's not project-based, and it sounds like, from what I understand, that it might be a little bit easier to fill out. It might be written for who it's intended for, which is musicians. So don't be afraid to apply. Just open it and apply and get help. Because, I mean, I can do it. You can. What's next for me is to promote the new record that the Live Music Fund helped me make. And hopefully, I haven't read it yet, but if there's a way that I could tour the new record, that's what I'd like to do.
Congratulations, Laura. That's amazing to hear what that grant is being utilized for. King, Kids in the New Groove, is a fantastic organization. I've personally been able to work alongside them at the Doris Miller Auditorium in my Notes for Notes studio, where we've been able to create original song recordings, do in-stage performances, had news media outlet come and capture the moments. So it's been incredible. So to see what King is doing is fantastic. Again, congratulations.
Yeah, it's a really cool event, and it's a great organization. Finally, our very own ATXM board member, Genesis Vasquez, was able to use their grant in a variety of ways to lift up Austin's queer music community. Check it out.
I've been a drummer for about 20 years. I've been booking in Austin since 2015, and I primarily started booking just queer events, I think in 2019 until now. I did do the Austin Queer Music Festival in 2022 with Austin, Texas musicians supporting me, and I'm currently on the board with Austin, Texas musicians. I found out about the Live Music Fund through Austin, Texas musicians' Facebook page or their group. They are usually pretty good at posting stuff like that. I applied for the Live Music Fund to really help out being able to throw queer events in the city. There's not a lot of queer spaces here. Probably maybe a handful of queer bars in Austin. And also as an independent promoter, it's really hard to get funding. You don't really get paid a lot by the venues, and I just really needed the money to help pay other queer artists to really support our queer music scene. The Live Music Fund helped me be able to throw a couple of queer shows and to really support the queer artists out here in Austin. And also I was able to do a lot of recording and help my queer band be able to get merch and stuff like that. So it's been really helpful. Some tips to help with the Live Music Fund, I would say just really keep doing what you're passionate about. Definitely check out to see what you qualify for. Anything that you feel would help you uplift the community, that would probably be the best way to approach it. As far as what's next for me as an artist, definitely going to continue working on our album with my band. And I'm going to try to continue to do a couple of smaller queer events throughout the city, hopefully up until the end of the year.
What an impactful use of the Live Music Fund grant. See, this is why funding these ideas is so important. Nowhere else in the U.S. exists such a groundbreaking, sustainable public fund for music, and I'm so proud that Austin, Texas musicians played such an integral role in creating this fund back in 2019.
Absolutely, Ray. I completely agree. And with that, our 6th episode of ATXM News comes to a close here at Austin Public. We hope that you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've learned a little bit more about what makes our Austin music community so great. We're unique in the sense that we have more support here for musicians than most anywhere else in the U.S., but we also face some unique challenges that make it difficult to live and work here as a musician.
Austin, Texas Musicians is committed to serving our music community through advocacy, education, and a little bit of inspiration along the way, so that musicians have a better quality of life within the live music capital of the world. We hope you'll join us on this journey.
Yeah, see you next time!
Daniel Fears.
Your words aren't sensible, they're